How many of you have bought clothing recently? Now, how many of you have bought from brands such as Shein, H&M, Primark, Old Navy, or any other popular clothing brand that you'd be able to find in your local mall? You might have bought those clothes in order to keep up with the newest trends, or you might have bought them because you actually needed them. It happens. But regardless of your reasoning, buying from brands such as those is what we would call fast fashion. Fast fashion is the overproduction of clothes, typically clothes that are trending and clothes that are of poor quality. And usually these clothes are on the cheaper end of things. Trends like these seemingly never last very long, which begs the question, what happens to all the unbought clothing once it goes out of style? In short, the unbought clothing turns right into pollution. Greg Peters from Chalmers University of Technology and co-writers found that, quote, impacts from the fashion industry include over 92 million tons of waste per year and 79 trillion liters of water consumed, end quote. To put that into perspective, the biggest football stadium known as the Rungano in North Korea would not be able to hold that amount of waste and water. Fast fashion has and continues to have a negative impact on our environment. So how did we get to this point? Well, the beginnings of fast fashion date back to the Industrial Revolution period. This period was from the 1760s to the 1840s, and it mainly started in Great Britain. This movement is what sparked the idea of ready-made clothing and apparel. Annie Radner Linden, a graduate from Brad College, found, quote, during these periods, a cultural evolution was also taking place where a consumer class emerged and a preference for buying ready-made clothing began, end quote. The preference of buying ready-made clothes stems from two major reasons. One being that no one really had time anymore to do all the mending and creating the clothes, since this was the time where the workforce and labor and all that was becoming more normal. It really just meant that no one would have to spend all that time mending and making the clothing anymore. From there on out, the fashion industry just kept on expanding. Eventually, we started to see the different clothing trends over the years. Whether it was dresses, suits, t-shirts, blouses, jeans, it was all still what we call fast fashion, and the environment is suffering from it. Besides the physical mountains and piles of mass-produced clothing that now sits in landfills and our Earth's water sources, there are other environmental impacts caused by fast fashion. These impacts include the carbon footprint, chemical usage, and the over-excessive use of water. Kirsi Nimanaki from Aalto University and co-writers, quote, textile alongside aluminum generates the most greenhouse gases per unit of material, end quote. Greenhouse gases, like many other gases in factories and cars produce, have a very negative impact on our environment. Gases like these are what contribute to global warming. Global warming is one of the main concerns on our Earth right now. There are plenty of ways that we can obtain clothing without it being fast fashion. One of the easier ways is to simply just stitch up and fix clothes that you already have when they rip or tear, or you can even alter them and make them into something new using two old garments of clothing that you have. It's another great alternative to make something new if you're feeling tired of your old clothing. Another great alternative is buying from small businesses. There's plenty of craft fairs and things like that where people sell clothes that they make. There's also websites such as Etsy where people post online clothing items that they make so that they can sell them. There is also another alternative. You can go to the thrift stores or charity shops to save those clothes from also turning into pollution. By doing that, you're not buying things from major corporations. Fast fashion and its negative effects on the environment is something that we have the power to help to change. By not buying products from fast fashion stores and websites, they won't have the funds that they need to keep on producing clothing like this. If fast fashion starts to decline, we can start to heal the earth from its effects. The next time you think about buying clothes simply because they are on trend, you should stop and think about the process that goes into those clothes that are on the shelves. Is that new pair of pants you don't actually need worth the damage that it causes to our environment?